Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Scrub League. This is something that we could pretty much do at any point, and we'd miss out on some really cool heroes that are coming out. But we decided now, at the end of 2017, might as well be the time where we declare our top 10 favorite heroes. And this is going to be not necessarily the heroes that we play the most, not necessarily the heroes that we're best at, but more the heroes that we are glad are in the game to begin with. So we're going to start with number 10. And Sam, why don't you start us off with the bottom of your favorite heroes?
Well, actually, I believe somebody else has him higher on their list, so I'm gonna pass this one off.
Okay. Aden, do you have a number 10?
I do. He's my favorite little dude who is also sometimes a bird. His name is Medivh. You may have heard of him.
The last Guardian of Tirisfal?
Yeah,
The
sure, yeah.
Betrayer?
Yeah, that guy.
One of the most annoying characters in the game.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why he's on my list.
The guy here throws amazing parties.
Yes, they had an entire Hearthstone expansion about it. It was pretty great. Yeah, no, I like him because he really exemplifies the weirdness of the current classification system in Heroes of the Storm. And he gives me hope that we'll get a more granular classification system at some point. Because as we all know, Medivh is classified as a specialist, but that seems weird, considering all he does is bubble people and make them invincible.
Yeah, specialists just seem to be their label for just dumping, whatever heroes they didn't feel like they could classify. When clearly I think he should be labeled a support, right? Like, we're all in agreement about that?
Yeah, and I always think of specialists as the ones who are doing the majority of the laning in a game. Like, they're the ones really focusing on pushing towers and not so much, like, their specialty is pushing lanes rather than necessarily being in team fights, and Medivh doesn't fit that at all. So, yeah, I agree. He should be a support.
Yeah,
he's quite literally a dude who supports his team. He bubbles people and make them invincible. He gives cool chase or escape potential with his portals. He scouts the area in bird form, going caw-caw. Like, how is he not a support, Blizzard?
Yeah, the cool thing about Medivh is that he's got like this sense that he can only be, played by masters, right? Like Alrak had that reputation for a while, but with Medivh, like portal placement is such a nuanced art. He has that talent where you have to keep hitting your Qs, never missing Qs. His ability to hop in and out from bird form, and land some Qs or escaping, diving behind walls and towers to kill people, blanking ultimates with his W with very precise timing. Like, it's the sort of character that if you wanted to main and truly master, that's someone you would get a lot out of. Because when I just play Medivh for kicks, like, I feel inadequate.
He definitely intimidates me as the more, like, I would say less experienced, or like I'm not as good as you two. So for me, he completely intimidates me. I don't think I've ever played him, and it's that timing that he needs and those skill shots that he needs that I've never played him, and he kind of scares me.
I do really enjoy heroes like Medivh that really exemplify the skill ceiling. Really, they will be really, really terrible in the hands of anyone who isn't like even remotely good. And if you're good, he like carries the game on his shoulders. I love heroes like that. It's like Heroes of the Storm's version of a carry, really. All right, Kevin, what is your number 10?
So my number 10 is support, but if you wanna 1v1 this guy, you might want to think twice, because he's basically One Punch Man. He's got a really big arm. My number 10 is Stukov. If you try and duel Stukov, he's going to hit you, and he's going to hit you like a truck. and then he's going to slow you, and then he's going to burst heal himself for a ton, and you're not going to be able to get away. And then when you think you've gotten away, he's going to use his long range grabby arm and rip the last 5% of your health from you. Stukov is just a really unique, very complex support character. I wouldn't say he's the most elegant, because his abilities have kind of weird synergy with each other. But there's so much that you can do with him that I feel like he's got a lot of depth that you can explore.
I feel like you've got to really watch your placement with him, because if somebody gets around behind you and you are staying still for your little silence pool there, you'd be very easily ganked if they were able to get around you. So you kind of have to really be aware of where you are and where everybody else on the map is. I think that's my only thing about Stukov. I think, especially when we play with him, he's a great healer. But that's like his Achilles heel to me, is he has to stay still.
Yeah, I mean,
what an ability it is when he does stay still. It's crazy that he just gets this silence on a stick in a big old circle, and most silences in the game are, well, maybe not most, but a lot of silences in the game are relegated to ults, and Stukov just shows up casually flinging around silences. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, people are losing their minds about Valera's point and click 2.75 second silence. Stukov's is just like an AoE silence that is there for as long as you want it to be. And you can just use it at range at their gate in front of their fort or their keep. And then they just have to walk through this damage in silence to get to you. And you can abuse that so heavily. I love
the no
that.
channeling cost is insane.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with your point, Sam, that is definitely one of his weaknesses, which, I mean, he should have. He should definitely have weaknesses. But I mean, if you dive him with a melee hero, he can give it not quite as good as he gets it, but I believe he's close to, if not the highest, just pure DPS for auto attacks. And I love how long the period is between auto attacks and the loud thwack it gives when you punch somebody. Apparently, that's what I was looking for in a support. And I really love the viral healing aspect to him. I think that's a very cool way of getting more people to play supports, because they don't want to feel like they're, this cute panda handing out cups of tea.
He's definitely on my list in 2018. I have a short list of heroes that I should definitely try that I haven't given a chance almost at all, and Stukov is one of them, because I do support main. I love being support, and I feel like that's rare, especially for my rank. But he's on my list, and he does intimidate me a little bit, but I definitely do want to try him.
Yeah,
I was asking for a Zerg support for a long time. I think you guys can probably remember. For the longest time, I was actually really sad that we got a Zerg Queen that wasn't a healer, because I thought we had no chance of ever getting a Zerg healer, and I wanted it so bad. And then he's not technically a Zerg, but he's Zerg enough. I'll take it.
He is more monster than man, that's for sure. Yeah, and I love how some of his talents can, highly customize him. One good spread, I believe, is the one that lets you just bounce the healing back and forth forever. And targeted, we talked about Medivh, how you can really show your mastery. There's one talent, I believe it's the one called Targeted Excision, where if you have your weighted pustule on exactly one enemy, when you detonate, when you use your D, it reduces the cooldown of that D dramatically. And that's all of Stukov basically is working around his trait, because it's got such a long 15-second cooldown, maximizing its use, using it at the right time, using the talent to reduce his cooldown. That's, I think, something that separates great Stukov players from mediocre ones. Just an all-around fun, stylish, and really skill-intensive hero. All right, so Sam, do you have a number 9 you want to talk about?
I do, and she's when she first came out, she was the bane of everyone's existence, especially from a distance. Her natural speed was definitely one of her big kind of draws. My number 9 is Lunara, and I love her for how annoying she can be and how hard she can be to hit. The speed is definitely something. She can do a lot of damage, and I don't know how many times when I've hit someone with poison and they thought they got away, but they get behind their wall and I've still been able to kill them. I think she's really trolly and I love her for it. She's very squishy, but if you learn to, it kind of taught me to stay in the back a little bit more. And I just love Lunara for her speed, and also she gets a lot of vision. So she has a lot of damage, she can move around the map really quickly, and she can get a lot of vision on the other team. So number 9 for me is Lunara.
Oh my god, I hate that prancing little deer. I hate her so much.
There is a short list of heroes that it's just miserable when I see them appear on the other team. And Lunara is definitely up there because, as you say, Sam, like there's a lot of heroes like Tracer and everything where, they can chase you all around the place and they can dodge all your skill shots and stuff. But with Lunara, it's like even if you get away, you probably didn't get away because she'll use one of her 2 ults to either jump halfway across the map to you, or use that long range whip, or she's just gonna watch you die to poison. I can't count the number of times I've run to a healing fountain hoping that it's going to out-heal the poison, and then it never does, and then I've just wasted the cooldown on the fountain.
And I love her for it. I get bloodlust, and I like this character for having taught me something, and that's to not go racing into the middle of the fight, but to just stand back, throw these poison darts at the enemy, and just let them think that they're going to get away, and just do a crap ton of damage. Like, I'd say about at least half the time I come out, at least in my rank, but let's be real, it's bronze. I come out with highest hero damage and not expecting to. I just come out with highest hero damage because if you let her, she's just going to keep hitting you.
Sam, I've never seen you get bloodlust. What are you talking about?
I don't ever. Yeah, I know. I must be mistaken. But at first I thought her wisp was kind of an unnecessary add-on, but as I learned her a bit more, I realized this is actually pretty good because, it allows, that little wisp to go in first because she can't face tank. She's so squishy that if she runs into a bunch of people that she can't see, you're automatically going to die. So I kind of use that as my little toe in the water before I go jumping into a fight. And I've really learned to use that wisp to its best advantage.
Yeah, the other thing, I mean, the learning the value of vision with Lunara is definitely huge, and a lot of people don't respect the power of that wisp. One of the things that just drives me crazy about Lunara is that laugh that she does when she jumps over you with her heroic. I don't know if you guys are Carbot fans or if anybody listening is a Carbot fan. They just released a video not too long ago of Lunara driving Ragnaros completely insane by stabbing him with poison darts from a distance while laughing the entire time. And it spoke to me on so many levels. That is my lived experience facing Lunara.
Ah! Yeah, it's annoying. I hate her. I hate everything about her. I love her damage, but oh my god, when she's on the field, I hate it. I hate it when she's on the enemy team because she's just gonna throw spears in my face that do absurd damage. And then I even hate it when she's on my team because I have to listen to her. She's like Diva in that respect. I just hate listening to her.
Well, Aden, why don't you tell us about someone that you do like? What's your number 9?
I would love to, but apparently someone loves him more than me.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we have to move on to my number 9 then, which my number 9 deserves respect. In fact, it deserves everyone's respect all the time. If you want to address him, you need to ask for permission first. If you want to attack him, he's got he has so many ways to get away from it. If you want to cast a spell, you have to ask for his permission. My number 9 is the High Lord Alarak.
This is one that I know you can play well, and I've seen him played to devastating effect. Again, this is just above my pay grade. Alarak is a mystery to me.
The thing I love about Alarak is that he's known in the game he's from StarCraft for making bargains, right? Like He is an incredibly selfish individual, but he'll cut a deal with you, and he'll honor that deal. And he's kind of the only hero in the game that has that aspect, that trade-off. There's a couple talents in the game where you feel like maybe you're giving something up. Some of Stukov's level 20 talents come to mind. But with Alarak, that's like his whole idea. Is his trait is that he's got this double damage against heroes, but if you take certain talents, it reduces his damage slightly. So I love that, and I love that he's got since his rework abilities or talents where you have to use your Q on groups of people several times. But if you can achieve that level of mastery, if you can get a whole bunch of people at once, or if you combo that with someone, you can complete the quest right away, and it's a huge power spike. Like, I think that's so fascinating, and I'm really glad that that's kind of unique to him. And then his level 20s are incredibly entertaining. Like, he's got Hasty Bargain, which will reset all of his cooldowns, like a rewind, but there's a big trade-off, right? He's going to lose, I think it's like 3% or 4% of his extra damage every time you use it, but it's at level 20, so every fight could be the last fight. So I love that push-pull there. I love the idea that he can choose both his heroics, so he can do crazy moves where he charges up and he rushes in, and then he uses his Q on a big group of people, and then when they all turn on him, then he can use Counter-Strike and he can deflect all that damage back at them. It's just such a flashy, interesting play. And then there's his teleport where he can get out of jail free and then slam all the way down to 1 health to the point where a minion could kill him. But with Alarak, you have that mentality of of getting away scot-free and just laughing at your enemies, and that disdain that's so central to his character is there in both his gameplay and all of his quotes. And I mean, that's why he was the most requested announcer for the longest time, and we finally gotten him. He's just got so much attitude.
Yeah, I kind of hate him, or at least playing against him for the same reason that you guys hate playing Lunara. It's like, ooh, I see Alarak. Oh, I'm dead. Okay. He's just, the damage and the speed of the damage is just devastating. That is a word that I think adequately describes his ability to just tear through your health pool.
He also has one of the best voices in the game. I will give him that. Listening to his voice is an experience in and of itself.
Yeah, he's voiced by, oh goodness, what's his name? Is it John Delancey, the fellow who voiced Q in Star Trek and Discord and My Little Pony? Don't ask how I know that.
How do you know that?
It's not relevant. But yeah, I love that his Q, referencing StarCraft, has Discord in the name, referencing My Little Pony. It's just such a little elegant nod to some of his fans. Okay, so Sam, number 8. Do you have a number 8?
I do have a number 8, but somebody put her higher than me, and I bet I know who it is.
Okay, fair enough. Aden, do you have a number 8?
Oh, I do. And this number 8 of mine is, well, it's a support that I like to play because it's like not playing a support at all. She used to be a hero I love to play and then was reluctantly forced to play support. And now I don't even have to pretend anymore. I get to play Tyrande and just be an assassin who happens to have a heal on a Q. Number 8 is Tyrande. It's wonderful.
I don't think of her as a support at all. She has a heal, but it's so small. It's basically only useful for keeping herself and her tiny health pool alive.
Yeah, she's another hero like Medivh that is probably improperly classified right now. I feel like she is 100% an assassin, but because she has an ability that heals someone else or can heal someone else, they are just sticking her in the support pool. But nothing about her is supporty, really. Some of her some of her talents can be more supporty, but generally they're kind of bad. And I hate playing them. I love playing her as this weirdly good assassin who can self-sustain herself and be invisible when she needs to and nail you from across the goddamn map with that goddamn owl.
Or when you're running back towards your walls, and again you think you're safe, but here comes that freaking owl, and you've got that little bit of health, and you're retreating, and you think, okay, I'm good, I'm safe, and then boom, owl, and you're dead.
And
And then
the skill cap on her E, just again, she's a hero that if you play her well, she's so utterly rewarding. Anyone, if you can land her E with any degree of consistency, she swings fights so hard in your team's favor.
the
Oh my god, I love her.
the infuriating thing about the E, and there's a couple heroes' abilities that have this, is that there's a delay on it, not long enough for you to really avoid it, but just short enough for you to feel stupid for running into it.
Yep, exactly. Like if you're Tracer, you can dodge it pretty easily, but everyone else, like no, you're done. If I've timed this properly, you're getting hit by it and then getting utterly crushed.
I actually agree with your her being a misnomer as far as being a support too, because being a support main, like every time I go through all my healers and I'm like, okay, who's gonna be best for this team? I never think, okay, Tyrande's gonna be able to be the best healer for this team. Like I always think of her, she has to be a secondary of some kind. Her damage is impeccable, but I would never think, okay, I'm gonna solo support Tyrande. And that would be why I wouldn't put her on my list, because she's not true to the role that they gave her.
I would
Yeah,
wager that if you go up against an enemy team that is well built, they have a solid team, and you try to solo support Tyrande, I would wager that you would lose most of the time. She is a bad solo support, and especially now that they've reworked her, they removed one of her main sources of healing, which was her old Shadowstock ult. I prefer it now. It's fantastic now, but it used to be another form of healing.
Have we ever seen Blizzard change a role for a character, and do you think that could be possible for her?
If it's possible for anyone, it's definitely going to be her. Um, like I think because whereas Medivh I think was just miscategorized from the beginning, I think now Tyrande cannot be considered a true support anymore. I think she should be moved into the assassin pool. As much as I don't want to reduce the support pool and increase the bloated assassin pool, I think it really only makes sense.
yeah. I mean, like when you think about how she's supporting, in theory, she could support with her Q. Her trait of putting the hunter's mark on people and increasing people's damage against that target, you could kind of argue is like a supporting ability. Maybe the Q, that's right, the E, like the stun helps set up some things, but in reality, I mean, it's all just for her, right? Like
Mhm.
she can heal herself, she'll buff her own damage, she'll use the stun so that she can just like follow up and slam someone with a W and a ton of auto attacks. She's the most selfish support I could think of.
I mean, even if you want to try and be actually supporty with her Q, in order to actually do it in a timely fashion, you have to be shooting the enemy team in the face all the time. She's even an assassin when she's trying to be a support.
And I guess that's why you love her. Uh,
100%.
all right, so moving on to my number 8. Uh, I'm kind of shocked that this character is not higher on your list, Sam. But I'll explain why he's on my list. This character's from a game that came out quite some time ago, and when they try to make a new hero, they sometimes they'll go with the kit first and apply a hero to it, and then sometimes they look at the hero in its context and sort of the fantasy of playing that hero, and they build from that. And I find this character so interesting because they had so very little to go on. Let me kind of convey to you um, what your original encounter with this character was. You open a door, and this big guy comes at you, and he just starts hitting you over and over, and just you can try and run, and he'll follow you, and he'll just keep hitting you over and over, and you just sort of have to trade into him. And he'll probably murder you your first time through the game because you're not expecting it. My number 8 is the Butcher. Yeah, this is a character you're in the catacombs, you open up some random door, and then all you see is just viscera inside, and you hear the voice line, "fresh meat," and it just comes right at you. And I find it so interesting that they just took that extremely simple encounter and they boiled it down to its essence, and the Butcher is like the perfect encapsulation of that.
Yeah, I actually do have him on my list at number 10, and the reason I have him at number 10, I love him, I absolutely do, I love smacking people and watching them try and trade with me and winning that trade, but unfortunately, Butcher fuels my bloodlust addiction, and so I had to put him at the bottom, just because it's not useful for me in a learning capacity, because it encourages me to have a little bit more bloodlust, at least for me. I do love him. I mean, once you get that meat quest, and I was even okay with them when they moved the meat quest from 150 to 200, because once he gets that quest, you're not going to win a one-on-one with him. It's not going to happen. And he's just such a good thing for locking down a target, especially with his alt, Lamb to the Slaughter. And that's the other reason he's near the bottom of my list, because I never use his other alt. Ever. I always pick Lamb to the Slaughter, and some of the best heroes for me, if you've built them really well, you'll be able to choose between those two alts, depending on your team comp and your situation, where I don't necessarily see a reason to take his other alt. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, but I do absolutely love him. He is my Assassin Bay.
Yeah, the Butcher, I think the reason that you have problems with him is that he's good at one thing and one thing only, right? He isolates that target, and then he goes. The Butcher is not a character you can poke with. A problem a lot of Butchers have is that they feel like they need to go in all the time. They'll charge into 2 heroes or 3 heroes, and then they'll immediately have to turn around and try and run away because they realize, okay, I can't do this on my own. I need the rest of my team with me. So coordination is kind of a concern. But yeah, so that's what he does. He does one thing, he does it well. He charges at someone at just lightning speed, gets that stun, gets, if they try and run away, he's got the Q to slow them down. If they try and trade with you, you can't do that either because you've got the W to brand them. And the hitching post, the Lamb to the Slaughter, is hysterical to me because universally, when you hit someone with it, like, they can hear the sound effect, they know what the Butcher does. They should just stand there and like at least auto attack you, right? Because they can't run away, they can't use their abilities. But almost universally, they will attempt to run away. They will bounce at the end of that chain like a frightened animal, because that ability and just sort of the way the Butcher works just makes you abandon your sense of reason. And I think that that's just like a fascinating and great aspect that they've been able to pull out of him.
And I think everyone has an automatic reaction to that E sound as well. Like, ah, crap, the Butcher's coming after me and there's nothing I can really do about it. He is
Start looking to how close I am to my friendly walls every single time I hear it.
Yeah, and he's a one-trick pony, but that one trick is really fun.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, you got to kind of try and get that meat in the early game, which is really difficult and can be tedious if you have to farm it from minions, which is kind of a strike against him, and that's maybe why he's a little bit lower on my list. Okay, so Sam, do you have a number 7?
I do have a number 7, and I love this character for his versatility, and this is a phrase that you introduced me to, Kevin, and I absolutely love it because it describes my playstyle to a T. He's definitely what I would call a bruiser healer. He can heal when he needs to, but he can also punch you in the face a lot and make it very hard for you to get away from him. My number 7 is Charism. I absolutely love this character. I can I have the versatility to kind of take the talents that my team needs, whether that be damage or healing. So he makes a great secondary healer because his damage output is great, but then also he can solo heal. So for both mobility and versatility, I honestly think Karazim is one of the best support characters in the game.
Yeah,
I can get
Karazim is
behind that.
I feel like should be labeled multi-class almost, because at level 1 you choose between a couple of different talents that can really drastically affect his playstyle. But all of
True.
them kind of keep in this high mobility, in your face aspect to Karazim that I really respect and enjoy.
Yeah, the thing that I can see that mixes it up for me is 9 times out of 10, I will take his not Divine Palm, his other alt, Seven-Sided Strike. Even when I take a whole bunch of healing talents, I still take that for its... Nobody wants to go in that circle when he's got that down, so it serves as a zoning ability, but also does a crap ton of damage when you get people in that circle. So I just feel like when I get my little bloodlust moments and I can really go in and punch someone and they think they can trade with me, but they can't, but then I can also be true to my role and actually support my team, and he's just so good. And I had trouble. He's a little bit lower on my list than I initially thought he would be, but he's definitely one of the best healers in the game.
He does definitely feel like he suffers from maybe they weren't quite ready to commit to the whole multi-role or multi-class thing, so they just kind of hard labeled him a support. But yeah, I do agree that he is probably one of the closest dudes to a multi-class hero who isn't Varian. And yeah, a well-played Karazim is it's annoying on the enemy team. It's one of the most annoying things in the world because they're just constantly warping at you and punching you infinity times while healing themselves potentially, and then palming someone at the perfect moment so they get that massive heal when you think that you were about to kill them. Everything about him is heartbreaking, really. You can't get away, you can't kill his friends. Damn him.
It's true because you can, at the same time, and I've done this before, get both highest hero damage and highest healing. And I think that's just the mark of a truly great character.
And he's got that great Fist of the North Star appeal that Aden mentioned, where you could just punch people infinity times. And I just love that kind of the visual and the sound effect. I think the team really nailed as well. Okay, so Aden, what have you got for your number 7?
Well, he is a newcomer to Heroes of the Storm on a quest for redemption. And he's a person who I think exemplifies Blizzard being talentless hacks because they could not give him sake as a voice line. My number 7 is Hanzo, and I am in love with this ridiculous, kinda terrible hero. He's a really, really good representation of his Overwatch form in that he doesn't really do much, but when he hits you, you know. I think his new ult that he obviously the one he doesn't have in Overwatch it's good. I like it a lot. I mean, it's obviously Ash's ult from League of Legends, but that level 20 spike is even when you don't do anything cool with it, using a talent called Play of the Game feels great every time.
Yeah, seeing that in action in one of the recent like Heroes of the Storm WTF moments videos on YouTube, where someone just nails that ult from across the map and then pops out of the arrow to finish off their opponent is it's just the name, right? Like it's Play of the Game. It's such a beautiful playmaking ability. It's so entertaining to watch. And
it is fantastic.
I love how he's kind of like a ranged character that's better in close, cramped quarters, so he can bounce his scattering arrows off of walls. I find that to be like an interesting push pull, and the fact that his trait can only be used on terrain. So it's weird but I think really cool that he's a ranged character that needs that doesn't want a big wide open space to work in like you would if you're like a Vala, for instance.
Yeah, he really wants those tight corridors of like Tomb of the Spider Queen, like you mentioned, for Scatter Arrow, and also because those are the areas that let him just suddenly dip on out if things get troublesome. But I don't know, he's a weird hero and kind of, I don't want to say poorly designed, but just weirdly designed in that, like we said, he likes these tight quarters despite being a ranged hero with only one escape on a 25, like massive 25-second cooldown. And he, like, the ult you want to take because it's so cool isn't really that great until level 20. Like, it's good at 10, but it suffers from like being most effective at a range where you can't contribute anything but that one ability to the fight. And then at 20 you can contribute that and suddenly warp in and be a cool guy that saves everyone and have your big damn hero moment.
Yeah, I was really nervous when they announced him because of his, kind of reputation in Overwatch. Like, it was a big meme for a long time for an insult to be, this person mains Hanzo. And so I'm like, okay, so how are they going to translate a hero from, or I guess a character from Overwatch into Heroes without him having the same issues he has in Overwatch, which make him so critically panned by everybody. So I guess, did he kind of prove you wrong and buck the trend a little bit when he was finally released?
Sort of. I mean, I think he's definitely better than he is comparatively in Overwatch. I think there's some value to him. Like on, oh god, the shrines.
Infernal Shrines.
Infernal Shrines. God, I could not remember the I word for some reason. On Infernal Shrines, his scatter arrow is actually insane. You can just shred Infernal Shrine minions, so he actually has a lot of value there. But that kind of puts him in the same position as Kerrigan, where like he's pretty good usually, like he's all right, but then on that one map he's very useful. So I don't know, he's fine, he's okay, but like I love him. I can't stop playing Hanzo even though he's not that great. it's weird. He just shoots logs downrange. That's his whole ability. And he no longer has the ability to shoot a scatter arrow at someone's feet and insta-kill them. So, like, I don't know.
But you know what you can do? You can leap over a wall onto a horse, like you're Zorro or something.
I shamelessly take that talent every time. It's so much fun.
Yeah, Hanzo is just pure fun.
Yeah,
but he's
really,
also
that's
garbage.
it. You have to embrace the garbanzo. You're not gonna do anything special, but you're just gonna do a bunch of damage. That's the only thing you contribute to your team, unless you take Dragon Strike, and then you can like zone people out pretty decently.
So basically, you just want to have fun, like you're playing some sort of game or something. Okay.
Exactly. But like now that I mentioned that, I think you might as well just take Raynor. Oh god, you might as well just take Raynor. Oh god.
He's having top 10 list remorse. Okay, Kevin, what's your number 7?
I just want to say that we can officially replace Hanzo with Raynor as the number 7.
I don't think I can put Raynor on my list because he's more boring than anyone in the game. I can't put a right-click hero on my list. I just can't do it. But like officially, unofficially, Hanzo might as well just be Raynor. Raynor's just a better Hanzo. God damn it.
Yeah. My number 7 is the Swiss Army knife of heroes. He's got wave clear. He's got shielding. He's got vision. He's got weird single target slows that could be crazy damage. He's got the best escape in the game. He's good with the team. He's a great solo laner. He's just good all around. For my number 7, I've got to say Entaro Tassadar.
Yeah, I didn't catch the Tassadar bit of that, and I thought you were just saying something in the Protoss language that indicated you were choosing Artanis.
The whole time you were describing that, I totally thought you were going Artanis.
Artanis has the best escape in the game and provides vision and
I didn't
shielding.
know what you were. I don't know the Protoss language. Okay.
If you give me 5 seconds to look up the wiki, I could give you that answer, but we ain't got that kind of time. Tassadar is really interesting to me because he's had this habit of being either completely busted or totally awful, because Blizzard can't seem to figure out how to balance him. I think they have him in kind of a better place now, but he was switching back and forth really wildly for a while there. Yeah, so I mean, it's just you have something that you can do at every situation in every phase of the game. You know, if someone's being focused or someone's going to dive, you've got that Q. You use it on yourself. You can use it on your structures if like an immortal or a golem is pushing against you. If you just need to casually clear waves, you don't even need to stick around. You could just like dump your lightning storm on a wave, and then move on. If someone attacks you, his E is just ridiculous. It's like you're invisible, you get increased move speed, you just soar away. There's nothing anyone can do about it. And his D, the vision, I think, like as we've been discussing with Lunara, and also as with Hanzo, like we didn't talk too much about, the ability to just push a button and get a huge amount of vision. Like the stealth thing is relevant, and he's great for countering stealth heroes. Used to be a little bit more relevant than it is now, but still relevant. I don't know how many times I've approached one of the turn-ins on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and I just pop my D because it's soft cooldown, and there's like 5 people hiding in the fog, and I'm just like, okay, I don't have to stay here. Actually, wait, let me just dump my lightning storm on them and then leave. Tassadar he's got just so much utility, and he's like a true support character. But at the same time, I've also seen him pull out crazy numbers for damage if you either build his W, his lightning storms, or his auto attack. And that's really interesting to me. This is like another support hero that's got a great kind of auto attack setup that just laser beam.
Also, it's a very unique auto attack, which is something I admire about Tassadar. Like no one else has this like cool channeled beam that slows people from a decent distance. Like it's neat. It's not just every 0.5 seconds he shoots a laser type of deal. Like it's very neat. I like it.
Yeah, I don't play him as much, especially after I enjoyed him a bit, but then they made some changes to him that I didn't really like. He's one that I don't play a lot, but I enjoy having on my team. I almost never say no to a Tassadar on my team for his shielding reasons, for that lightning storm, the laning reason, the fact that he's a support and then he can be in lane by himself for a significant amount of time. I do enjoy having him on my team. I just don't prefer to play him myself.
Yeah, that's the problem though, is that I loved playing it. I love playing him, but the problem is that somebody else has to play like another main support to do the bulk of the healing, and that's just hard sometimes to get. Even though Tassadar just slots into any team comp, really well. And the thing that you were talking about, Aden, with the auto attacks, like that wasn't on release, right? Like they updated that to give him the laser, and I think people were
that update was very strong. It was one of the more like characterful updates where it made him very unique. It definitely defined him away from the other heroes, and the auto attack really exemplifies that.
Yeah, a lot of people complain that he is like a sentry from StarCraft because he shields and he can put up walls with his ults, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Like I get that, and I know that he could have been mage where he's just dropping lightning all over the place, but we've kind of got that with Kael'thas already, so I understand why they took him in this direction. And I do love both of his heroics. The ability to break the lore and just become an Archon on his own is great. I always do the same thing and get bloodlust whenever I pop it and forget that no, I'm not suddenly a bruiser. I still need to play like a support character. So I always have trouble whenever I'm picking that. But I've seen people do crazy things with it, especially with that talent that lets you sustain it practically forever by hitting things.
Man, we've all been swayed to the dark side by power overwhelming.
Yeah. They should have sent a poet, honestly. And his wall heroic is my favorite for sure, because you can use it offensively to cut people off from their allies. You can use it defensively, like if you're channeling a tribute or something, and you can just keep people back. And it's got such a crazy low cooldown that you can use it all the time. And if you have it, if you get the level 20 talent, you can use it, I think, every 3 seconds, and it lasts for 2 seconds. It's ridiculous. You can
This
just
is one of the trolliest ults in the game. Oh my god. I don't play him enough, but whenever you play Tassadar, I'm always very, very happy whenever you drop a wall.
I always have fun when I'll play either Lily or Malfurion, and you'll play Tassadar, and it's just having those two supports for different reasons. We always seem to come out on top when we couple one of those. He complements others so well as being able to stand alone on his own. It's really cool.
Yeah, just he's got all the, as I said, he's useful in every situation, and I just am never sad to see Tassadar.